the top news stories at this hour. I'm Oleg Borisov in the studio. Glad to have you with us. Let's begin. The Russian army attacked a market in the Bilopilia community of the Sumy region with a drone. 13 people are known to be injured, 2 of whom are in critical condition. Also, overnight, the enemy carried out a combined strike on Sumy. According to the regional military administration, the invaders attacked with guided aerial bombs and jet-powered drones. 2 people were injured, and private homes, non-residential buildings, vehicles, and infrastructure facilities were damaged. In the Hlukiv community, the Russian army struck a post office with attack drones, effectively destroying the building. According to preliminary data, there were no casualties. Russian forces attacked the Dnipropetrovsk region more than 20 times overnight, using drones and artillery. In the Nikopol community, a post office, a gymnasium, and a private house were damaged. In the Kamiensk district, infrastructure was damaged following the shelling. In the Sinelnikova district, an administrative building and vehicles were hit. According to the regional military administration, no people were injured. 1 woman died and another one was wounded. In the morning, a Russian drone attacked a civilian car on a road in the Kherson region. According to the regional prosecutor's office, the women were in the car at the time of the strike. In Kherson itself, a Russian FPV drone attacked a passenger car. The car caught fire. 2 people were wounded. The day before, due to a drone attack in the city, apartments in a high-rise building, a non-residential structure, and outbuildings were on fire at different locations. While extinguishing the fire, Russian forces attempted to attack the rescuers again. As a result, they damaged special equipment. The personnel were not injured. The Defense Forces of Ukraine launched a series of strikes on military targets of Russian troops in the temporarily occupied Crimea and the Zaporizhia region. This was reported by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. In Crimea, an early warning radar station, a storage, preparation, and launch site for attack drones, as well as 2 ground-based control repeaters for Geron and Gerber-type drones were hit. Another such repeater was destroyed in the Kherson region. In addition, the Russian military struck a fuel and lubricant depot and a repair unit of the Russian forces in the Zaporizhia region. The General Staff emphasized that such operations are aimed at reducing the offensive potential of the Russian Federation's army. The Group 13 military intelligence unit destroyed a Russian Pantsir S-1 anti-aircraft missile and gun system and a military crane in temporarily occupied Crimea. This was reported by the main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Magura maritime platforms equipped with FPV drones were used to carry out the operation. According to intelligence, the strike was carried out in early August. The cost of the destroyed Pantsir S-1 system is estimated at approximately $15 million. The GUR emphasized that Magura platforms are being used more and more actively not only for attacks on maritime targets, but also on enemy ground targets. Another Wildberries warehouse is on fire in Yekaterinburg following a drone attack. This is being reported by media outlets citing eyewitnesses and the company's press service. Monitoring Telegram channels also wrote about the attack. Earlier, Rosaviatsia introduced temporary restrictions on the landing and departure of aircraft at the local airport. The day before, a Wildberries facility was on fire in the Leningrad region. In total, the company has lost nearly a fifth of its warehouse space. Ukrainian strikes on targets deep within Russian territory directly affect the course of the war. This was stated on the Air of Freedom by Pavel Lakichak, head of military programs at the Center for Global Studies, Strategy 21. According to him, so-called middle strikes are primarily aimed at destroying the logistics system of the Russian army, which is participating in combat operations against Ukraine. The main goal of such attacks is to deprive the enemy of the ability to timely transport equipment, ammunition, and personnel. First and foremost, this is about creating a kind of logistical lockdown for Russian troops. At the same time, Lakichuk emphasized that strikes on the enemy's deep rear have a long-term effect and gradually reduce Russia's ability to continue the war.
A more long-term task, calculated for the greater perspective. Their task is to bleed the Russian army dry as a whole. And the strikes being carried out against Russian production of ammunition, missiles, and weapons, as well as against the critical facilities supplying fuel and lubricants, and against their major logistical hubs, they have a much more prolonged and strategic effect. While their immediate result may not be as quick or as visible as other tactical operations, the long-term impact is significantly more substantial, effectively degrading their overall capacity to sustain these ongoing military efforts over time.
The The credit crisis has reached Russia's largest banks. This is reported by the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine. According to analysts, overdue debt in the loan portfolio of Russia's Sberbank has grown by nearly a quarter, and mortgage debts have doubled. Furthermore, entrepreneurs who work with Wildberries are now mass applying for debt restructuring. Overall, according to intelligence data, the problem of non-payments in the Russian economy has noticeably worsened in the first 5 months of this year. The main reason, buyers and customers are taking longer to pay their bills, so the money is not reaching the suppliers. They, in turn, delay their own payments, and the chain of non-payments spreads throughout the entire economy. The UK has introduced a new package of sanctions against Russia, aimed at limiting the capabilities of the Russian war machine. This was announced by the acting Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Andrei Sybiha. 19 legal entities were hit by the restrictions, including 6 Russian banks, among which are Ozon Bank and Exim Bank of Russia. The sanctions also affected companies that supply goods and technologies to the Russian defense industry. In addition, restrictions were also imposed on 6 vessels of Russia's so-called shadow fleet, which are used to transport Russian oil and liquefied natural gas, as well as on foreign companies associated with them.
Every stopped tanker, every isolated bank, every exposed supplier means fewer resources for the Russian war and fewer missiles aimed at Ukrainian cities. Sanctions work, and their consistent application makes such measures even more effective. The only way to stop Russia's genocidal war is to increase pressure on the aggressor. The UK continues to set an example. We call on all partners to continue increasing pressure until Russia ends the war and justice is restored. Together, we are stronger. Andrei Sybiha, acting Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, social network X.
The United States has expanded sanctions against Cuba due to its cooperation with Russia and China in the military sphere. This was reported by the United States Department of State. The restrictions apply to 5 state-owned companies involved in arms imports, military equipment repair, and cooperation with Russian and Chinese defense enterprises. In addition, sanctions were imposed on 8 Cuban officials. Washington emphasized that the new restrictions are aimed at countering Havana's military cooperation with Moscow and Beijing, as well as limiting opportunities for the further development of these ties. Russia may be preparing provocations against the Baltic states using drones disguised as Ukrainian ones. This was stated by Lithuanian Defense Minister Laurynas Kasčiūnas. According to him, Lithuanian military intelligence has information that Moscow is considering the possibility of striking critical infrastructure facilities on NATO territory in order to subsequently deny its involvement in these attacks. Lithuanian authorities emphasize that this concerns a potential hybrid operation, the goal of which could be to destabilize the situation in the region and increase tensions between Russia and the countries of the North Atlantic Alliance. American intelligence is also warning that Russia may expand the war beyond the borders of Ukraine. As reported by the Wall Street Journal, the Kremlin is considering various scenarios for pressuring NATO countries, ranging from cyber attacks and sabotage to limited military incursions. Experts believe that in this way, Moscow may be attempting to change the situation against the backdrop of a protracted war against Ukraine. At the same time, the probability of a direct clash with the alliance is currently assessed as low, although they acknowledge that the risk is gradually increasing. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk stated that Russia could take such steps as early as next month, while most Western intelligence agencies consider a period of several years to be more likely. Stay at the center of events wherever you are. Live broadcasts, exclusive projects, and breaking reports from all over the planet are now on your smartphone. The whole world in one Freedom app. Scan the QR code right now, download the app, and get access to important content.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.